Funding for Roots Race and Culture is provided in part by the Norman C. and Barbara L. Tanner Charitable Support Trust and by donations to PBS Utah from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to Roots, Race, and Culture, where we bring you into candid conversations about shared cultural experiences. I'm Daner Gerald.
And I'm Lonzo Liggins. Now, Daner, how many black and brown people does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Nobody knows, because the lights would have been out. That's a hard joke to get away with. In today's social climate, you got to be the right comedian in the right room, and we have two fantastic local black comedians in the studio today to discuss the ins and outs of performing black comedy in a predominantly white market. Let's start with Chantel Black. Chantel, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little something.
Well, my name is Chantel, but on stage I go by Shambi. I am born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Go Brooklyn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, I have to I know they always say like Brooklyn people are the loudest, and we are. We have to let ourselves be known everywhere we go. So, and I'm first generation American. My family is from Jamaica.
Okay.
So I am very proud of that, and I kind of bring that into my comedy style. And yeah, I've been doing comedy for about 8 years now.
Awesome. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
TJ's in the house. TJ, tell us about yourself.
I'm TJ Taylor. I'm from Arlington, Texas originally. I've been doing comedy for about 5 years here in Utah, and I've been having a blast. And it's good to be on this show. I appreciate you guys for having me.
Yeah, of course, man.
So now I want to just first say I've done a very little bit of comedy, mostly open mic stuff. And I imagine being in Utah, because it's not like Texas, it's not like Brooklyn, you know, it's 2% black here, and that's a very big demographic difference. So what is it like for you guys, especially particularly you, Chantel? I know you do some comedy in LA, you've done it all over Indianapolis, all over the place. What's different about doing comedy here?
I will say that I have grown being here only because it does not look like other cities that I've been to. Granted, you go to some places in LA, New York, the audience has a lot of comedians in it. So it's kind of like you're performing for your peers, and those people they are so used to hearing so many seasoned comedians. Whereas here, it's like the audience, even though it may be predominantly white or other, they came to see comedy. So, and they're open to hear from a woman's perspective, from a black woman's perspective. So I would say that I was very apprehensive, but once I started, it was been a very enjoyable experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
TJ, you started here, right?
I started here. I actually haven't performed outside of Utah. I've been here my whole career. And, you know, quite frankly, I've had an incredible time with these audiences. Like Chantel said, they're there to laugh and enjoy a comedy show. You know, it's super fun doing comedy here in Utah because everybody, if you bomb, they just don't laugh, and that's fine.
They're not throwing tomatoes.
They're not throwing
knives
tomatoes.
at you.
Yeah.
It's not like the Apollo where they get the hood.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the best place to grow because you're not like immediately, turned off from doing it.
Now, I have to ask you this. Now, as a comedian of color, black comedians, do you consider your ethnicity an asset or a liability? Because I think there's a different way to approach it depending on how you feel about that.
I think it can be an asset because in a space like this, it's a voice that is unfamiliar to them. So them meaning it could be Hispanic, Asian, just natives, even black natives of Utah, hearing the perspective of someone that has lived in other places and come from a different background is almost refreshing. So I feel like it's been an asset because I can bring that kind of breath of fresh air to the city. Only way I can see it be a liability is because people may come with a bias or a stereotype. So if they see my name is on a ticket at a club, they may say, oh, I don't want to see her because I don't want to hear those kind of jokes and stuff like that. So that's the only time it's like trying to get people in the door to hear that I'm not going to give you that kind of stereotypical kind of performance.
So you gotta be open to hearing the perspective instead of
you can't-
assuming.
like especially like when you watch like with black comedians, you can't like point out like when there's an all black audience, they'll say the one white dude. There's a white guy in the audience. You can't do that here. There's a lot of white guys in the
You know
audience.
they're gonna get it bad.
Yeah, so
If
there's
anything, they point at the one black person in the
wait,
audience.
there's a black guy in the audience. Let's focus on it.
Or you just look for them in there.
Yeah. So there's let me ask you guys a question because you know, as we saw, Dana was trying to do a little comedy. He's done some himself actually. He's done a couple stand-up things, but there's different styles of doing comedy. Like as a person who doesn't do stand-up comedy, but I watch it. What kind of different styles are there, and what kind of different styles do you use? I want to start with you, TJ.
Well, you know, some guys get up there and they do these one-liners. Some guys tell stories. Some guys do impressions and stuff like that. There's a lot of different styles of comedy, but I think if the best way to do it is to just exaggerate yourself and who you are and get on stage and be big and, you know, show yourself in your jokes and show yourself through your jokes. And that's kind of the way that I do it.
We actually have a clip of you doing some comedy that we can see you in all of your larger-than-life self. So let's go ahead and cut to that and check him out. This is TJ.
Hey, man, it's the holiday season. You know what that means for me? White Thanksgiving invites. TJ, we just love you. You know, we want you to come to our home. Spend Thanksgiving with us. Come spend with our family. No, I don't want to do that. Please don't invite me to your Thanksgiving. And we don't have to talk about the food long. Okay, you know, we see marshmallows and raisins everywhere. We got aunties coming up to me. I voted for Obama. Both times. I don't care. I don't care. Kids staring at you. The only black people they ever see is in those Kids Bop videos, you know? Doing this kind of shit. Somebody's buying those albums.
That's good. I actually waited to see that because I didn't want to watch the clip prior. You know, so would you consider that like a one-liner type of comedy?
Well, that's more of a story of my experience, you know, in Utah and sort of the things that I've gone through. And the way I opened it was just kind of, you know, I wanted to smack the audience in the face a little bit with you know, a good joke right off the bat.
Traditionally, or at least stereotypically, comedy is sort of a male-dominated space, right? And so I really would love to hear from you, Chantel. What is your comedy like? How do you navigate being a comedian as a woman? Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Ooh, I mean, I'm still learning, still growing. Of course, I grew up watching like the Lunel and some more and those, but then it's like the list is so much shorter compared to other black male comedians over the past 30 years. So I have tried to do my comedy in a way that my mom, my colleagues, they can all still come and see me. I have seen some other women that can be like kind of shocking, can be vulgar. I try not to be too much because, you know, I don't want my mom to just come on stage and just
Because you got a Jamaican mom.
sit on, wash out your mouth with some soap. Yeah, I don't want that. But I still want it to be relatable. Like I'm a woman of a certain age and I'm single and I don't have children, so just that experience alone, navigating dating in Utah, just talking about things that anybody in the audience can say, whether they're black, white, or any woman that's in their 30s trying to date is like, man, Hunter ain't ish, and neither is Jaquan. So we can all laugh together and those kind of things. That's kind of how I want it to be, so that anyone can come and feel like I had a good time. I didn't feel targeted. I didn't feel like, let me tell you about white people. Like I don't want to do that, especially in a place like that. It's almost so expected. So I just want to
Yeah,
be like,
TJ.
Well, here's my explanation. Well, I feel like, honestly, I agree with that. I think but I think that it's important sometimes to, open a window for white people to look in and see kind of, how we see things.
Yeah.
And the White Thanksgiving joke that you guys played, that's actually a play on me as a black person here in Utah and my experience with white people. So the white people are like, it's funny that you had that experience, not I feel
Or insulted.
made fun of or something like that, right?
Shame on you, TJ. I'm just playing with you. Here's the thing, though. I'm curious with you, Chantel. So you did comedy in Brooklyn, correct?
yeah, I've done it in different cities. So New York, Vegas, Philly.
Because we want to see a clip of your stuff, but I want to just say, like, there's a bit of a difference between, how you do comedy in Brooklyn and, say, how you would do comedy in Utah. So let's take a look at some of her stuff right now.
When I first found out that I was moving to Utah, of course I cried, but I did the next logical thing. I Googled and I typed in, are there any black people in Utah? Come on, you would have did it too, wouldn't you? Exactly. So I went and I checked. I didn't even get the circle. The little spinning wheel. I got the emoji. Because Google was like, I ain't never been asked this before, and I've been asked a lot of things, but I ain't never been asked this. And she was like, do you mean, are there any black people in California? Because, girl, you could go to Inglewood, you could go to Watts, you could go to Compton, you could go to Long Beach. I said, no. I said, let me, we're in a DEI environment, except in Florida. Are there any African American populace in the beehive state of Utah? And the computer started shaking. It was like, whoa, okay, I thought we were going back in time. The screen went black and it said 404, paid search cannot be found. I was like, damn, I'm gonna just have to find this out by my damn self, okay? I'm gonna find it out. I get there, so now I'm trying to find somewhere to stay. I'm Googling and I'm researching, and I found a neighborhood. Very nice house, 2-bedroom, townhouse, upstairs, downstairs. Y'all don't judge me. Y'all wanna know where I live? Because I want y'all to come visit, because it's really nice out there. Cottonwood Heights. Child, I said, well, you know what? The rent not bad, okay? The rent is not bad.
I'll never look at Cottonwood Heights and say,
But I don't have to pick anything up but my mail, okay?
Right on, yeah.
So like in Brooklyn, like your whole delivery would be different, right?
Right, and that was in Maryland, but yeah, that was closer to the Baltimore area. And I've actually done that joke here in Utah. The name itself is funny anywhere you go, but then if you're local and when I say that joke, they're like, that's a bougie area. I live near Post Malone. So, they're like, okay, she living up there. But yeah, I do say certain things when I go other places because they're just the selling point of me being in Utah. I just say I live in Utah, and some people just laugh for 3 minutes straight before I could even start. They're just like, oh, I thought that was the joke. You serious, ain't you? Oh, Lord. You okay?
So I have a question for both of you, too. There's so many, I grew up watching Richard Pryor and, just a lot of those big,
Eddie Murphy.
Dangerfield, Eddie Murphy. Obviously now today we watch Dave Chappelle, other comedians like that. Who are some big names, some people that you grew up watching, that are big comedians to you? And do you kind of borrow from them, or do you, find that they use a lot of these cliche type performances that you take? Let's start with you.
I grew up. I was 7 years old watching this Chappelle show. So I grew up with Chappelle. That was kind of my beacon of comedy. And seeing his career grow and progress and things like that, that really inspired me to want to write jokes and comedy. I love Mike Epps because Mike Epps is a comedian who doesn't really need to say anything. He's just funny. He just exudes it with how he says things. And then also Jerry Seinfeld, who is an incredible writer.
Yeah.
An incredible writer. He's just excellent. So with that trio of just a funny guy, a great writer, and then Dave Chappelle, who is probably one of the best like deliverers. Like he's a great joke builder,
right,
you know,
yeah,
yeah.
crafts it.
And like with that combination, I felt like I could do this, you know, and you know, it was a lot of motivation. One of the first jokes I wrote and went and performed, I just said, I'm gonna be Dave on stage because this is my first time,
Right.
and I want to do a good job. And you know, it's when I watch that back, I'm like, that was Dave, and I'm really glad that I transitioned to, you know, kind of have my own voice.
To answer your question in terms of like comics that I are inspired by, most of them are not stand-up comedians.
Really?
Yeah, so if anyone asks me, the first person that comes to mind is Lucille Ball.
Oh, wow.
She's also August baby, and from New York. But she just had I also have like a comedic personality where it's just being around me. I'm not planning to do punchlines and everything I do, but that's just how I am. And you can watch, and just watching the Lucille Ball show, that was a show where it's just like, you have a feeling that not everything was scripted, or just there are certain episodes that you remember, like when they had the conveyor belt and she's trying to stuff all the chocolate balls in her mouth. And it's just like she was just in it and just being goofy and just going for it.
Yeah,
so her, and starting my comedy journey, I started in sketch comedy. So that was also in the acting space where, you know, you develop a character and you're telling a joke within the story. So a lot of the people that I like are also from sketch comedy. Maya Rudolph, Tina Fey, like the women of Saturday Night Live, some of the women from Mad TV. Those are the ones I wanted to be on all that. So now I'm glad I'm not, because you know that whole Nickelodeon.
Right.
Yeah, you know. Hey, so God's plan.
Well, you know, the thing too is like there's like when it comes to especially black female comedians, like really big ones, there's only about a handful that most people know. You know, like I mean, can you name some that inspire you? Some black female comedians?
Black women comedians. I would say Lunel, because it's like even in her age, she's still able to be relevant and talk about things. Like she's not trying to be something else. Like she's like, this is where I am. This is what I do. Tiffany Haddish, in just her being authentically her. I like her, and you know, but it's true. Like the list is very small. Like the comedians that I like, I would say a name, and no one in this room will really know who they are because they're the ones from this generation. But I'm gonna still shout them out. But it's like the Courtney B's, the Mel Mitchells, the Keisha E's, the ones that are on the social media sites right now. Those are the ones that are a part of the generation of names that we will remember years from now.
Oh, that's cool.
So I just feel like there was a low gap, and now the new generation through social media is starting to pick up.
That's big. You know, and there's a lot of different styles of comedy. You mentioned sketch comedy, and there's been some pretty big sketch comedy groups in Utah. Improv is also a huge part, and I think you've done some improv before. We have some Latino improv artists, and I got to go down and check them out. So I want to take a look at that, and I want you guys to give me some thoughts after you watch this clip. So check it out. This is some Latino improv comedians.
I am Kiara Mercedes.
And I'm Bryson Alejandro. And we are improv comedians.
We are, yes. And we perform at Improv Broadway in Provo, and we love it.
We do.
We do.
We do.
Hey baby, are you a giraffe? 'Cause your tongue is really big.
Improv Broadway. It's a musical improv comedy theater.
I will strike you down!
See? So we hold auditions every 6 months, and we really try to be a place where we encourage diversity.
Hello, sister.
This is our first time performing together. This will be the first time that Improv Broadway has 2 Latin American comedians on stage together.
Yes, yeah. So it's monumental. Very exciting.
This is making history.
Look inside the crevice. There's millions of them.
The crevices or the things inside the crevice?
My mom is from Colombia, and I was born and raised here in Utah.
My dad is from Panama and was raised in the Canal Zone. My grandmother, her whole family goes back to like Panama, Ecuador, like native.
Hey baby, are you a restaurant? Because I don't think I like what the last person did here.
The power of comedy is we're able to like change people's perspectives, and hopefully they grow in empathy, or they just grow in understanding by just viewing people that are different than them on stage.
I think that there's a lot more at stake when we lean into stereotypes, and I think people appreciate when we don't. At least that's the response that I've gotten, is like, oh wow, there's some depth here, and to be seen beyond just the label that someone might give me is really meaningful to me, and I think allows for more intimate connection between audience and creator.
What do you think about that? TJ, anything come to mind?
Well, I have a really good friend who has moved to LA now. Her name is Jasmine Faye. And Jasmine was a part of a improv group called Crowdsource. Yes.
Crowdsource.
And they used to do this show where you come to their show, and as a comedian, you do 5 minutes, and then they'll come up and do a 5-minute improv sketch based on what comedy you just did.
Wow.
Yeah. So I love improv. I've been on that show twice, and I haven't really gone to improv shows. It seems like something that I would love to learn to do in order to help me out with stand-up, and I appreciate people who do it all the time.
Have either of you bombed in your career? If you have, what? He's like, yes, every night.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, can you talk a little bit about that, like what that experience is like?
Well, your palms are sweaty, knees weak. No, I'm just no. It's really bad, because if you're lucky, you start bombing later, because usually you're slotted for a certain amount of time. So if you get up and you start, not feeling it immediately, and your jokes aren't landing, you just feel like, God. Like sometimes you'll go to a show and you'll do a joke that worked in some place, and then you go to this new place, and like we were talking about earlier, you have to change a little bit for the audience that you're in. Sometimes you don't recognize that sort of difference
right away, yeah.
And then you try to do that joke the same way, and it falls flat, and your confidence and all your other jokes that you have left go. So
you gotta find your audience. You gotta figure them out.
You're readjusting. Have you bombed before? I imagine you have. I mean, there's never. No. She's like, no, I never have. I feel like it's a rite of passage for every comedian, right?
I guess I haven't been in a kind of unforgiving room yet for that to happen. The places I've been in, I guess even if a joke wasn't in, they'd be like, okay, baby. Okay, but I have had jokes that have bombed, not my whole set, but I've had jokes where it's like, all right, that didn't land so well. I think it was because it was right when, this is local, when HB 261, the DEI thing, I don't know if I can say that, because we're in the state that
it's a law.
Bad. You cannot say those in public.
Right, so I had made a joke about that, and I was like, do y'all know what it is? And white people were like, no. I was like, of course y'all don't, because it don't apply to you. So I kind of used like half of my 5-minute set to just go on a rant and just educate them. And then I was like, all right, we'll get back to the jokes, but I'm gonna have to educate you. So it was kind of like the room was quiet for a bit. But in terms of jokes that bombed, it may be something that I said I stumbled in my delivery and it wasn't that good, but you just gotta rebound for it. I just got 30 seconds left. Let's find something else. I saw that actually when I was moving here, I was Googling, like I said, I did a Google search, Black people in Utah, and then I said, you know what? Yeah, because I started my comedy in New Orleans, and then I moved to New York, and then I kind of got intimidated by the New York scene, and then COVID happened. So when I found out I was moving to Utah, I was like, all right, let me let me start here. And I Googled and I was looking for comedy, and then I saw a TJ show, and I slid in his DMs respectfully. And I was like, there's black comedians. And you said like, hey, you're a black woman doing comedy. There's only one other black woman doing it, and she does improv, so you ain't got to worry about her. and I kind of came in with that mindset, and I've been more consistent here than any other city that I've been in.
In so many places and spaces, things get very competitive in other markets, right? And it's kind of cutthroat, dog eat dog. And here, what I'm getting from you guys is it's a support system. It's a place to learn, to grow, to develop, to work together, to, what is it, a rising tide lifts all ships or something like that?
Lifts all boats. Did you say shoots?
Ships.
Yeah, you could build a thick resume here and take it to another city to make yourself more marketable.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were in a larger city, everyone is fighting just to get on an open mic. Whereas you come to a city here, you can produce your own. And now you go to another city, and it's almost like a job. So it's like this kind of helps build your resume by using your ethnicity as an asset, not a liability.
The lack of diversity.
Boom! Look at that.
See, that's a comedy technique. You bring it back. You bring it back.
Just don't invite TJ to Thanksgiving.
Don't do it.
He'll
Unless
bring
you
the
need
funeral
to
potatoes.
screw in a light bulb.
But the lack of diversity breeds the need for diversity. So you fit those spaces when you can. I mean, the doors are open.
Yeah.
So,
Love it.
Yeah, I think
Thank you guys for being here. This has been a really fun show.
I love you. I got to come see you guys, man.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
When
got some
it-
shows.
Well, we want to hear all about it. We want to hear all about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for today. From all of us at PBS Utah, thanks for joining the conversation. And as always, other episodes and extended conversations can be found on our website, pbsutah.org/roots, or on the PBS Utah YouTube channel.
And if you have any feedback or ideas for other episodes, be sure to give us a shout out on social media. Until next time, for Roots, Race, and Culture, y'all, we are out.
Funding for Roots, Race, and Culture is provided in part by the Norman C. and Barbara L. Tanner Charitable Support Trust and by donations to PBS Utah from viewers like you. Thank you.